Welcome to Living from the Inside Out with Holly Wade. Living from the Inside Out is about living fully, guided from your inside. Holly shares the wisdom of how your mind, body, and spirit are truly connected and that you deep down know your own answers. Holly and her guests will provide tips, practices, and inspirational stories to help you approach your life from your own heart. And here's Holly.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey everyone, this is Holly Wade with Holly Wade Wellness. Thank you so much for joining today's episode of Living from the Inside Out. Today I want to talk about a very important topic. And for those of you with autoimmunes or any chronic condition, you understand this really, really well. That's inflammation. Now, the role of inflammation is actually a really good one. It's your body's immune response. So your white blood cells go around the cells and the tissue in your body in order to protect it from a foreign invader. That's a good thing. So you'll generally notice some heat, maybe some redness, a little swelling around the area where inflammation exists. And if you think about like a cut, a zit that I have right now, but if you think about things like a cut or something like that, you notice that redness around it right away. And that's your immune system, your body's healing response going to action right away to keep that area from becoming infected or from letting a foreign invader come into your body, right? Well, if it's already in your body, it's just trying to protect from a foreign invader so it can go after that and keep everything else out of harm's way. Now, if you have an autoimmune disease, you understand, because you live this, that your immune system doesn't always understand when to turn off. And so inflammation becomes chronic. Stress contributes to that. I talked about that a couple weeks ago on the show, Living from the Inside Out. So you can always go back and take a listen to that one. But when we have that stress response, we have an increase in adrenaline and cortisol and some other chemicals in our body, but cortisol being the big one, and that creates inflammation in the body. So chronic stress can also lead to inflammation. So what happens when you start to get that achiness? What can you do? Well, we've got some things going on right now at this particular time where we're changing seasons. That change in barometric pressure, that change in temperature, where one day it's really warm, the next day it's cold. The body has a hard time adjusting and fluctuating to meet those demands. And so it creates some stress on the body. And your immune system, the bulk of it actually lies in your gut. Guess what part of your body really regulates temperature? Your gut. And so if all of this is compounded, of course, that's going to lead to some inflammation. Maybe you feel it in your joints. You know how you hear people who have achy joints before a rainstorm comes in. That's an example of how that might work. We've got that going on. We've still got a lot of flu going on, and that will create an inflammatory response in the body. Stress in just what's going on in your life can create inflammation. So there are things, very practical things going on, that change in the time zone or the change in the daylight saving, And if you travel, changing in time zones, those things all impact that inflammatory response in our bodies. Those can be triggers for you that cause inflammation. But there are also things that you can do to either prevent it, curb it, or get on top of it sooner rather than later. So as soon as you start to feel that inflammatory response, or maybe it starts to appear on your skin, maybe there's a little psoriasis or a little zit, or some like patchy skin that itches, those are all signals that there's some inflammation going on, and it's generally inside of you rather than just at the surface, just at the skin. So there are these things that you can do, and that is to pay attention to your food. So we've got 6 things that we're going to talk about. Paying attention to your food. Soak in an Epsom salt bath. I'll talk about these things a little more in depth here. Get lots of sleep and pay attention to your body's need to rest. Instead of doing your normal hit it hard exercises, switch to the more calming mind-body types of exercises. Connect to that deep breathing and meditation, and then pay attention to what's stressing you out or angering you, what's creating those inflammatory thoughts. So let's go back and we'll dive in a little bit deeper. So we've got food. Food plays a big role in inflammation and the ability to keep the pH in the body level, because if that pH changes and becomes too acidic, it's a breeding ground for viruses and bacteria, which is also breeding ground for disease down the road. So it's really important to make sure that you maintain a diet that's rich in antioxidants, so fruits and vegetables, because there's a reason for this. You're also getting a lot of mineral. You want to make sure that you're getting those minerals and those antioxidants. So that's really key for anti-inflammatory things that we consume. So eliminate processed foods. That's step number 1. And anything that creates allergies, like maybe dairy or soy products, anything like that, eliminate those for a little while. Increase supplements that are like your omegas. Make sure you're getting 3, 6, and 9. Foods that would have the omegas would be like salmon, walnuts, flax seeds. I like to add those into my smoothies or onto my my oatmeal, or you can even add it onto your like you can just kind of sneak it into things. It's kind of a nice way to get lots of omegas. And then did you know that grass-fed beef, grass-fed, that's the key, also is rich in omega-3s. It's actually comparable to fish. So if you live in beef country, good news for you. You just need to pay attention to what you're getting. So your omegas, 3, 6, and 9, you want to make sure you're getting all of them. Magnesium and potassium. So those are your minerals that you want to make sure you're getting. Add your D3. Really important. And if you're not getting natural sunlight, it's important to take that supplement. And then I'm a big proponent of probiotics just to maintain that gut health, because that's the start of your health. And that's going to start, like, as I said, most of your immune system lies in your gut. So we've got to feed and breed the good stuff and help flush out the gunk so it can eliminate from your body. So you want those colorful foods. Those are going to be your high in mineral content, high in antioxidants. Those are things like your leafy greens, things like beets, things like blueberries, pineapple. Those are your big fruits and vegetables to get. But just look at color. You want a lot of color. Maybe try to avoid the nightshades, because for some reason those can create some joint issues, especially a lot of peppers. So if you're already in inflammation mode, steer clear of things like peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplant for just a little while. You can always reintroduce those because they do have a lot of nutrition, but there's also a compound in there that creates inflammation. So those leafy greens, full of antioxidants, full of minerals. Your blueberries contain something called quercetin, and that's an anti-inflammatory property. It's also rich in antioxidants. So those antioxidants are what are going to keep your cells healthy. So when you think about, like, if you cut an apple, pretty soon it oxidizes. It starts to brown. That's called oxidation, right? Well, we want foods that do the same thing for our cells, that create that. So let me rephrase that. When you squirt lemon juice on top of that apple, then it doesn't discolor. That's antioxidation. We want that same thing in our muscle cells. And I'm having a terrible time today. We want the same thing in our cells. We want to protect those cells. And it's the antioxidants that do that. They put that coating around them so that they don't oxidize. When they oxidize, then they just destroy a little quicker. So we want to give that cell the strongest life and power that it has, right? Think high color and rich color. So you've got those really blue blueberries. Purple colors are kind of good for this. So beets are another one. And those repair cells. It's just got compounds in it that help with cellular repair. And that's what we want. We want those dead cells to flush out. We want the damaged cells to flush out so that the repair happens quickly and easily. Beets are one that will help to do that. And they're high in magnesium and potassium. So that's a way to get it in your system through food rather than just a supplement. I'm always a fan of, if you can get it through food first, go for it. That's going to be your best way of absorbing the actual nutrients and the compounds that your body needs. Pineapple has something called bromelain in it, and that's a digestive enzyme. And the interesting thing with that is that it keeps blood platelets from sticking together. If you are a person that works out, eat pineapple post-workout so you don't get so sore. It'll kick that bromelain into gear right away and help with that delayed onset soreness. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. I'm a big fan of making my homemade bone broth. And the reason for that is because of all of the nutritional qualities of it. You're getting so many minerals in that homemade bone broth, not the canned stuff, not the store-bought stuff, the actual bone broth. And you get so many minerals, and they're easy to absorb. Plus it's coating, that gelatinous coating on your gut soothes and heals any damage that's in the gut. So if there's inflammation going on there, it's going to help with your gut. So if you have IBS, IBD, any autoimmune, make bone broth a regular part of your diet. And one way that I do that is that every week I like to make either chicken or roast in the crock pot. And I'll cook that whole chicken or roast in water, add some apple cider vinegar because it helps to pull more of the collagen and the minerals from the bone, because you want to make sure you have bone in your meat so that you're pulling that from the bone. And then I add my vegetables and garlic, and I like to throw in some fresh parsley to get some more nutritional value in there. Cook it. I cook it on low. When that meat is done, strain it. You can eat up the vegetables. You can do what you want. And then I debone, because you can make another round of broth with just the bone. So I save the skin and the bone and then do another round, do the same thing, add the vegetables, the garlic, the water, parsley, new vegetables, by the way. Don't repeat the old ones, just add new so that you're getting all of that nutritional value right there. Then I freeze however much I can. I like to keep that on hand. So I'm making really healthy soups. I can drink it, just drink the broth straight up. And I've got it on hand when I start to get sick, when I start to get congested. So there you go. That's my little trick for bone broth. Keep that on hand. Apple cider vinegar, I talked about adding that to my bone broth. You can do that straight up or in some water, make a tea with your apple cider vinegar. And what that does is it changes the pH. So it takes that acidity out of your system and your body and reduces that acidity and changes the pH to a more neutral or alkaline state, so that you're not breeding that inflammation or breeding that bacteria or breeding that virus that is floating around in your body. Good stuff. You can always do foot soaks with it as well if you don't like drinking it. And you've probably heard these before. Garlic, onions, and ginger, those feed the good bacteria in your gut. And as I talked about a little bit ago with gut health, you want to make sure that you're breeding that good stuff in your gut and eliminating the bad stuff that's taking over. That's often what's creating that inflammation. We want to help that immune system as much as possible. And then the last thing, besides eating your salmon, getting those omega-3s through your diet, add those oils. Coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, nuts like walnuts, get that oil through them, and avocados, anything like that. Any of that good oil, what that's doing is that's adding those fatty acids that we need to rebuild tissues in the body. Fat is really important. We need that in order to absorb vitamin D. And vitamin D is critical for the uptake of magnesium and potassium. So there's just this domino effect that happens. And when we don't get fat or don't get enough fat in our diets, we're really not allowing our bodies to get some really critical nutrition. Vitamins A, D, and E, and K are fat soluble. And then those are needed for several minerals, for the absorption of minerals. It all works together. So really pay attention to your fatty acids. Those are really important. Moving on, there's the dietary recommendations, the suggestions that I have to help you right away, starting to reduce that inflammation. And I recommend making sure that's a part of your diet more often, more days than it's not, just to maintain and help your body even when you're not in a state of inflammation, even when you're not in a flare-up. So I said, soak in an Epsom salt bath. Why would you do that? If you want to go to a full detox bath, add like a handful of baking soda and then a couple handfuls of Epsom salt. The baking soda is going to pull toxins from your body and help to neutralize that pH in your body once again. So it's going to neutralize and alkalize your body. That Epsom salt has magnesium, and that soaking is a really quick way to get it into your muscle tissue and to help your body right away. And if you want, you can add a little lavender oil. If you've got a pure grade olive oil, I am a distributor for Young Living, so I fully recommend that brand. There are others out there, but do the research and make sure that it's not just a scent and that it's not just something that says do not ingest. If you don't want to ingest it, you don't want it coming through your skin. So that's just going to create more toxins. You want something that came straight from the plant. And then there's some other essential oils that you can do as well, like a peppermint foot soak can also be anti-inflammatory. It's recommended for, peppermint oil can be recommended for headaches. It's anti-inflammatory in properties. So a couple of them for you to keep around your household. Why sleep or pay attention to the rest that your body might be telling you it needs? When we're sleep deprived, generally we feel kind of ick in the gut. This goes back to gut health. It goes back to your immune system. It's also when we're asleep that our body can go into full healing mode. And we want that. We want our body to heal and repair. So if your body is requesting more sleep, there's a reason. Don't feel guilty for it. Let yourself sleep. Let yourself rest. Let yourself just chill and not do a thing. Maybe spend some time in nature and just sit and be and soak it up. But whatever it is, allow yourself to be in that state of relaxation. That's the flip from that stressed out state. So the more we allow ourselves to go into that healing state and that state of relaxation, the more, again, we bring that body into an alkaline state. The more we calm down that central nervous system, the more we allow that inflammation to cool off, literally and figuratively. And so it's really important to develop that skill of relaxation. Again, you can go back a few episodes and I talk about meditation and relaxation. And I give you some skills there. So if you need more of that, just flip on back a few episodes. And when I talk about rest, I'm also talking about how much are you overbooked on your schedule. That frenetic go, go, go state that we're in doesn't help. And don't feel bad. Don't apologize for eliminating things from your schedule that are just too much. It's setting personal boundaries. You can just let someone know. Be honest with them. I'm in the midst of a flare-up right now, and I really can't serve you in the way that I intended when I said that I could fulfill this. But right now, I really can't. If it's a problem, it's their problem. So don't ever apologize for taking care of you, because you don't want to continue down this path of inflammation and end up hospitalized and then taking that much longer for recovery, right? Tend to yourself. Give yourself that empowerment. Give yourself that permission, because no one feels or no one knows what it's like to be in your body but you. If you're a hit it hard kind of workout person, meaning you do a lot of cardio, maybe some strength training, this is a time to hit the pause button on that and to switch into mind body. Take those yoga classes, maybe switch to Pilates or Pyo, something along those lines. The benefit of doing yoga for that hour is on that mat, on that time on that mat, you're doing deep breathing. You're helping to stretch and open those muscles. You're helping to open the tissue of your organs. So like your digestive system, it can open up. Your lungs have the chance to stretch and open. So you're doing more than just opening the musculoskeletal, just building that flexibility. You're doing more for your body. You're opening meridians. You're giving yourself acupuncture while you're on the mat. You're stretching. You're unlocking emotions that have been locked into your tissue. That's mind-body connection right there. You're giving yourself the opportunity to let those open up and unlock out of that tissue. So taking that time on the yoga mat is really important self-care time. It is rest time. That is an hour of deep breathing. So you're taking yourself out of stressed out state into your stress response, into that calm state of being. It's that way of practicing learning the skill of relaxation. It's a way to actually live that out. Now, if you don't have the opportunity to go to a mat or pull something up onto YouTube, just practice deep breathing. Let that belly expand with your inhales. And what you'll do is you'll feel your belly expand and then your heart. And then as you exhale, your heart softens and then your belly softens. And do that for a couple of minutes. That's really probably about 10 breaths, and see what happens. And then when you start to feel yourself go into that stressed out state again, or that inflammation build up, go back into that breath. You might even envision coolness, kind of like a cool gel as you inhale, going into that space where those tissues are feeling inflamed, whether that's shoulders, whether that's back, whether that's gut. You know where it is in your body, whether that's joints. But it's crazy what that mind-body stuff will do in terms of creating that soothing response in the body. Now, the opposite of that is the inflamed thoughts. So that anger, that frustration, that whatever it is that's stressing you out, pay attention to that, because the more you breathe on those things that are causing anger, causing frustration, and letting it stew inside of you rather than finding an outlet for it, the more you allow that to stay inside of you, the more you emotionally stuff, the more you're breeding, the more you're creating inflammation inside of yourself. And it's no longer just about the inflammatory response. You're literally creating inflamed thoughts, inflamed actions. Because if emotion doesn't have a place to go, it's energy in motion. If you don't get it out in a healthy way, whether that's screaming, kicking, dancing, hitting a boxing bag, going for a walk or a run, whatever the case may be for you, but find a healthy way to let those emotions out and fully release them. Because if you don't, they will find a place to settle in your body. What you don't express gets repressed. So here's your chance to start to move toward forgiveness. Forgiveness of whoever wronged you, forgiveness of yourself. Here's your chance to move into grace. Here's your chance to move into love, what the act of love really is. Easier said than done. It doesn't mean that we don't speak truthfully. We do that in love. We do that with kindness and gentleness and to seek understanding. It doesn't always happen because sometimes we gotta yell to get that point across. So it doesn't always happen. Let's be honest. But as much as possible, we want to come to that place of understanding. And the thing is, once we say it, we can't go back to holding on to it. We have to really let that go. Now, one thing that you can do is if you don't get to have that conversation with the person, write a letter or close your eyes, imagine that they're sitting there right in front of you and get it all out. And once it's out, you cannot take it back. And it's really important to say, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive myself. It's part of practicing self-love in setting your personal boundaries. It's kind of a big one. So you don't have to live with inflammation for long. As soon as you start to feel it creeping up in your body, pay attention to what you're eating. Pay attention to what you're taking in and your thoughts and the people that you're around. Make sure you're getting rest and sleep, mind, body, deep breathing and meditation, and my favorite, Epsom salt bath, which I think I'm going to go do as soon as I get off. So again, this is Holly with Holly Wade Wellness. And if you'd like to sign up for a 30-minute call to explore maybe what it is that your body needs, if you discovered some inflammatory thoughts or that mind-body piece really at work, let's help you discover, let's help you uncover the root of that so that you can break free and get past that. My link is in the show notes, so sign up for that free 30-minute consultation. And let's get you back on the path of wellness so that you can live your life vibrantly. Because that starts by taking care of ourselves on the inside, at the cellular level, at the soul level. At that deepest place in us. So that we're operating mind, body, soul, and life on all cylinders and living vibrantly. We'll see you next week on Living from the Inside Out. Thanks so much for taking the time to join. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us at Living from the Inside Out. Listen every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. To connect with Holly, just go to www.globalvoiceradio.com. Global Voice Radio is where your voice and your message is heard.